Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to Randomly Random. I am Buame, your internet bestie. Today for our movie date, we are watching and reacting to a horror film titled Nosferatu. The plot: a demonic entity named Nosferatu is awakened after being cursed and trapped for over 1,000 years. Get your snacks ready, get your popcorn ready if you can eat it during a horror film, and let's get into this.
The film begins with a young girl named Ellen Hutter having a tense moment as she's summoned and made a pact with an evil demon entity far beyond her control named Nosferatu. Once she was done, the demonic entity vampire had sexual intercourse with her before eventually choking her by the throat, thereby completing a possession. Immediately, the scene shifted and we got to find out it was all in her dream. Her husband named Thomas, quick seek to know.
I'm sorry, if you're having dreams like this, huh? Who thought of this movie concept? The demon slept with her. Oh my goodness. Like, I'm Christian, I really believe that these sort of things torment people, you know? So, okay. Let's continue.
But what the problem was afterwards, he hugged her passionately, convincing and comforting her that there is nothing to be scared of. He later found out he is running out of time, so he says his goodbye and headed out for work. Ellen, who still isn't over the dream, reminisced on the nightmare she had earlier.
Yeah, because
1838 in Alamein.
it seems real to her.
To meet with a man known as Knock Mapler. As he got his destination, he apologized to him for coming in late. Although he congratulated him for being newly wedded, Mr. Knock proceeded to discuss business, which according to him, he wants Thomas to strike an eccentric deal with an old count who wishes to acquire a home here in Wisborg. So Thomas, with the aim of achieving financial security, obviously, accepts the deal from Mr. Knock to sell a rickety stately home in Wisborg to the reclusive and eccentric Count Orlok. Later that day, Thomas got back home and quickly told his wife about his journey. Immediately she heard this, she informed and warned him that he must not leave, confessing that before her wedding, she had a very horrific nightmare, revealing that she had married death himself and with only dead boys in attendance. However, the scary thing here is that during all this, she really enjoyed the whole process. Yet again, Thomas convinced her he needs to go, because this is his own.
This woman is clearly tormented. Like, she stays having weird dreams. She stays having nightmares. And she said what she enjoyed that dream. Okay.
Only chance to secure a promotion in his office. The next day, Thomas took his wife to his wealthy friend home, whose name is Friedrich Harding, where she will be staying for the time being until his arrival. Later on, Thomas reassured Ellen that her nightmare was simply just a dream and nothing more, stating that she has nothing to be afraid of soon after.
Is she staying with Udi, his friend? Like, is his friend married? Does his friend have a family? Because his friend looks sus, but let's see. We're just a few minutes into this recap.
They had a special moment together. That same night, her nightmare continued to torment her as Nosferatu soon consolidated the pact Ellen made with him. The next morning, Thomas prepared for his journey, but before he leaves, she gave him her necklace without him knowing. She had cut her hair and placed it in there the night before, which finally fulfills one of the Nosferatu occult requirements. After a long journey, Thomas arrived at...
So wait, she's having like continuous dreams. It's not like a one-time dream. She keeps on having dreams about this demon that she's gone into a pact with, that has been sleeping with her in her dreams. And she's basically acting it out in real life by cutting her hair, because that was where her dream ended this time. Cutting her hair and putting it in a necklace and giving it to her husband. For what? For what? You're having these demonic, evil nightmares and you're acting it out in real life. Girl, what a way to call it upon yourself in real life. But I mean, if you continually have the same dream, like a continuous dream, you know, as you sleep, whenever you go to sleep, the dream you have continues, like you're actually living it. You might need to see a priest. What? Okay.
Transylvania. The people of the town welcomed him with an open arms. He was truly pleased and happy on how cheerful they were, but suddenly, they all started laughing weirdly in a strange way. Soon after, the chief came outside shunning the locals for their dirty behavior. The chief was a bit skeptical about Thomas staying due to his association with Count Orlok, but he was eventually able to bribe the chief, pleading he just need to spend one night with him. That same night, an old lady gave him a cross, insisting and requesting that he will need it soon enough. A moment later, Thomas witnessed them doing a ritual before stabbing what they claim is a vampire's corpse with an iron stake. The next morning, Thomas woke up, and he is very much still terrified from the events that happened last night. But yet again, he ignored it and continued his journey to the castle. Just as he proceeded...
Wait, did it really happen or it was a dream? Honestly, if you get to a town that you don't know about, right, and people are welcome, and all of a sudden they all start laughing and acting weird, and then some old woman comes out of nowhere and gives you a cross and says that you will need it soon enough, please just leave the town. What? This old woman wouldn't have needed to tell me twice. I'm out of here. Compounded with the fact that your wife was having weird dreams and stuff before you came to the town. My boy, my guy, leave now. This is a bad idea, okay?
Doing so, he saw a mysterious carriage approaching him. It stops with nobody on it, but he courageously boarded it. It drove him to the count's mansion, with wolves running behind it. Thomas soon got to his destination, where he is received and welcomed by the horrendous, who is an impatient Orlok. A voice then informed him of how late he was. He requested that they both dine together, insisting on finalizing the purchase of Schloss Grunwald with immediate effect. As they did so, Thomas was offered a wine before Thomas began to question the information he received from the pleasantries, but Orlok dismisses it to be just a mere superstition. He ordered Thomas to have his meal, but unfortunately for him, he mistakenly cut his thumb, making him bleed. However, Orlok began to smell the taste of blood. Thomas at this moment already noticed things does not feel right here, but it was already too late for this realization as the entity reveals him.
Oh, now things don't feel right? The whole town laughing at you and the woman giving you a cross was what's normal to you? An empty carriage coming to pick you up with wolves behind it was normal to you, right? Cutting your thumb was normal to you, right? But all of a sudden, with this entity looking at you, things don't feel right. All of a sudden, like this is what doesn't feel right all of a sudden. All those other things felt right. Huh? All those other things felt right. What is he saying? All those other things were not strange to him, but this is what is strange to him. You are literally having dinner with a man or an entity or whatever you cannot see. You haven't been, look at the dark figure was sitting across from you and you were trying to eat dinner with him. How can you have dinner with someone you can't even see the person's face and you are still sitting there? My guy.
And attacked Thomas. Back to Ellen, she tried her best to convince Anna there is impending danger on the way. But Anna felt this was all
There's
in Ellen's
impending
head.
danger. He's
Back
already
to Thomas, who
dead,
is now
right?
unconscious, having a dream. In his unconscious state...
Wait, I'm confused. I thought he was killed by the entity. So the entity just attacked him. But now he's unconscious, having a dream. Okay, thank God he's alive then.
Orlok had Thomas sign a mysterious document written in an occult script. A moment later, he took Thomas' locket and retrieved Ellen's hair, which was inside it. Afterwards, Orlok proceeded to bring out his gold coins to pay Thomas, which was his commission as promised. Unfortunately, Thomas eventually signed the document. Once he was done, Thomas requested that he leave, as he has concluded as part of the deal.
He's signing his wife's freedom away.
Going home now is a black hole, insisting he has to stay behind whether he likes it or not.
What?
Immediately, Thomas gained consciousness, and he saw the vampire marks on his chest. Realizing that it has been fed on, he began to find for an urgent way out of the castle, but all the doors leading outside were locked. He soon found a very dark layout. He proceeded to head straight down the stairs.
Wait, if a vampire has bitten him and he's still alive, does that not mean that he's now also a vampire? Or do I watch too many vampire movies?
Once Thomas was finally down, he finds Orlok sleeping in his coffin. Thomas walked straight toward it and opened the coffin in an attempt to kill him with an axe. But unfortunately, Orlok awakened to stop Thomas. In fear, Thomas ran away. Orlok began to recite an incantation on Ellen's hair he retrieved earlier. And as this was happening, Ellen succumbed from the other room.
See, all this is because his wife gave him her hair. She shouldn't have done that. You're having terrible dreams and you're acting out the dream in real life by cutting your hair, putting it in a necklace and giving it to your husband when he's going to some mystical, evil town that the both of you don't know what to expect. So basically the Orlok is a vampire. I wonder if Mr. Knock, the man who sent this guy to this town, knows or knew that there were vampires in this town, or he was sending the guy to come meet a vampire. I wonder. Because why didn't Mr. Knock make the trip himself? Anyway.
Suddenly, Thomas was compelled by Orlok to open the door he had locked. Thomas stood there without moving as he couldn't move a muscle due to the fact that he was compelled. Later, Orlok attacked and feasted on him in a ruthless way. Once Orlok was done, he began to have an appalling sex with him, while also feasting on him. Meanwhile, Ellen suffered from a mysterious ailment, so Friedrich called his doctor to check and diagnose her condition.
What movie is this? Who came up with this script of demons taking advantage of people, demons sleeping with people? Like, what? This is just satanic straight. Because, look, I'm a Christian and I do believe that these things actually happen to people, like in their sleep and things like that. Like, I've heard of sleep paralysis. I've heard of people being married in the spiritual realm to demons and things like that. Like, I know people that actually feel like someone is sleeping with them in their sleep and they can't wake up. You know? What is this? Why are we watching this? Oh my goodness. Let's continue.
Suddenly, Ellen began to moan as if she was making love, so Wilhelm had to place her on anesthesia. Immediately, the doctor did so. Thomas woke up yet again. Immediately, Thomas ran out through the window.
I thought he was feasted on.
He fell into an unknown river. Meanwhile, Ellen now seriously experiencing series of seizures, which Dr. Wilhelm Sievers struggles to treat. Ellen's condition kept on getting worse, and she does not seem to be getting better.
Take her to a church, man.
Dr. Wilhelm revealed to Friedrich that the devil is coming. Nearby, a nun was picking up.
The devil has already come, obviously.
She stumbled upon Thomas, laying lifelessly on the riverside. She quickly rescued him and took him inside the church. Back to Ellen's case.
Finally, a church.
Wilhelm suggested that Ellen's issue was out of his control, so he advised her to be transferred to his mentor, named Albin Elberhard von Franz, for further treatment. Albin is a brilliant scientist ostracized in Switzerland with his occultist beliefs. Back to Thomas, the nuns said prayers for him, and he eventually gained consciousness. They urged him to stay and recover, but he immediately refused, insisting he needs to go back to Wisborg to protect his lovely wife Ellen. Meanwhile,
these nuns even look weird. Like, the whole movie is creepy. These nuns, look at them in black. I've never seen, okay, do I see nuns in black? Let me recalibrate. I've never seen, I know nuns are mostly in the Catholic Church. I'm not Catholic, so. But most of the nuns I see are like in white or grey. I've also seen some in like bluish, reddish, black. Okay, yeah, some wear black with that, the white thing, right? This is weird. Okay.
Orlok began to travel to Wisborg on sea with a crate of grave dirt and plague-infested rats. Dr. Wilhelm and Friedrich arrived at Professor Albin's abode. When Albin saw it was Sievers, he welcomed him to his home with open hands. Dr. Wilhelm informed him about Ellen's issue, which was already going out of hand. During all this, Albin discovered that Ellen is under the spell of the Nosferatu, a demonic plague-bearing vampire. Albin proceeded to treat her.
Okay, at least they know.
Also challenging the entity to speak, but in the process, she became possessed, and just then, Orlok speak for himself through her. Afterwards, she lost.
So, that means the demon was possessing her and tormenting her husband. That means the demon got access. How is it that the demon that was possessing her, like, is the same demon that her husband was sent to? I don't get it, but let's continue.
And started screaming for help. Dr. Albin told Friedrich that Ellen is cursed by a demon, but Wilhelm felt she was just being delusional. Although Friedrich is of the opinion that her symptoms is definitely from anxiety due to Thomas's absence. Albin informed them he needs to study more on this demon, and before he left, he told Anna to keep a close eye on Ellen and call him if she starts acting again. Meanwhile, Thomas returned to Wisborg, but immediately after he's speaking with Ellen, regarding her being right about the dreams, he lost consciousness immediately. As this was happening, some guards called Friedrich from his house to inform him of an issue. They showed him the Orlok ship that was wrecked on shore, and his arrival, which had brought plague to Wisborg. Orlok soon arrived at his home, where he met with his faithful worshipper, Knock. He bowed before his master, while Orlok swore that the land should...
See, so Knock is his worshipper. Knock, the Mr. Knock, the man who sent the guy, worships Warlock, the demon that is basically tormenting the man and his wife. Okay.
Dread and despair of his coming. The next day, his plague-infested rats stormed the town of Wisborg, making a pandemic erupted. Meanwhile, Ellen sat beside Thomas as he is now very ill. When Anna walked in, she apologized for all the inconveniences she had brought on her family. Dr. Wilhelm and Albin jointly examined the corpse they were...
Does the town not have one church? How does a warlock vampire demon have so much power over one town? Huh? Okay.
Retrieved from Orlok's wrecked ship, and they discovered the rats were also demonic. So Albin requested to meet with Nock immediately, but unfortunately he was informed that he has already escaped. Albin insisted he must be found by all means possible, stating this is not a mere plague. Meanwhile, Orlok began to recite an incantation which was meant to bring and befall darkness upon the land. Back to Thomas, he began to sweat profusely while sleeping. During this, he aggressively woke up after seeing visions of Orlok. Anna went downstairs as she began to have a feeling she was being stalked. A few minutes later, she was startled by Ellen. Ellen acted in a mysterious way as she pleaded with Anna to spend the night with her, which Anna did so. Back to Albin's in his office, he revealed they are encountering the undead plague carrier by Nosferatu. In the middle of the night, Ellen woke up into a nightmare, and just then, she finally met face to face with Nosferatu. A moment after he began to speak to her in order to convince her that she's not of the humankind, he told her he has been laying silently in the darkest pit, while also insisting that she was the one who woke him up. Orlok further tried to deceive her by stating Thomas had signed their divorce papers for simply a mere gold.
Oh
but
my
Ellen is
goodness.
wise enough to know it was all lies. According to him, if she refuses to bend to his will, he'll take...
Wait, but he did sign some papers. So what papers were those? He did sign some papers when he went to Orlok's house, right? And how was he awakened? They've not told us how he was awakened. How did she awaken him? Is it through the hair that she gave? Maybe, yes, it's through the hair that she put in her husband's necklace, isn't it? There are some things we as humans shouldn't play with. Oh my goodness.
Away her beloved Thomas' life. Immediately she woke up, she discovered Orlok had already started to manifest his power, as his plague-infested rats had already feasted on Anna, making Ellen scream in shock. Due to the fact that the epidemic had spread like a wildfire, the entire city of Wisborg became quarantined. Anna,
because of one man.
Control, started experiencing effects of the plague.
Oh, so she's alive. They made it seem like she died from the rat infestation.
Afterwards, he left the room to speak to Ellen. He revealed to still find it difficult to believe this is the work of a demon, so he requested that Ellen go back to her home with her husband, thinking they're the carriers of the infection.
Yes, they should go back. It is them. It is them.
Meanwhile, at Nock's office, Albin saw an ancient insignia on the wall that is long...
Because basically the demon is after her, right? It's like she's a demon's wife in a way. So that is why he's here in the town. He's coming for her, basically. Because why else would he tell her that her husband, is it Noah or whatever, Thomas, signed divorce papers? He wants her. That's it.
Fast the coming of the Nosferatu. Ellen later went home with her husband. When they arrived home, Thomas pleaded and tried to convince his wife to leave the city with him, but she informed him it is not longer possible. Ellen revealed to him she knows the devil. She told him how she summoned him when she was still young.
Okay, so the thing is, wherever they go, he will end up following. So it's like they are not safe anyway. So they just have to get rid of him now, forever, and let him go back to his imprisonment, because he said that she awakened him. Now let's hear the story of how she awakened him, because I think she has thought of it and realized that when she was a child, she did something.
And they've been lovers ever since then, until Thomas married her. She then questioned Thomas about the document he had signed early for money. The two began to seriously argue, but just Ellen began to check uncontrollably, and soon after,
just like in her dream. Oh my
Thomas
goodness.
realized what was going on, so he tried getting help, but she warned him not to leave. Ellen, now possessed by the demon, then ordered Thomas to make love with her. Once they were
What is happening?
She regained consciousness. So the following night, Orlok decided to show his power.
Did Thomas just do what the demon asked him to do? What? Did Thomas just do what the demon asked him to do? What?
By devouring Friedrich's children, killing them all. After Friedrich's kids were all buried, Friedrich finally accepted the fact that the Nosferatu exists.
Oh.
Franz proposes an expedition.
So the man they went to stay with, his children ended up dying because of them. Because of Ella. Because she summoned him. She summoned him when she was a child, and they've been married ever since. And you didn't think that it was a good idea to tell Thomas before he married you that you have a demon who follows you everywhere? Huh?
With Wilhelm and Thomas to decapitate Orlok's resting place.
If this doesn't show you, like, to be careful who you get into a relationship with, I don't know what else will.
He informed them that from his occult research, it stated the Nosferatu can only be truly destroyed through the willing sacrifice of a fair maiden, with only Ellen fit enough for the role. Friedrich was unable to contain the grief of losing both his wife and children on the same day. He approached them
his
for the
wife
last time,
also
and
died.
just then, he proceeded to commit necrophilia with his wife's corpse.
What is that?
Unfortunately, before the rest of the crew could...
What did I just hear? He slept with his wife's dead corpse. Okay, this town is full of crazy people. What? It's like Ella being possessed by Nosferatu and telling her husband to sleep with, and her husband also did it. Thomas also did it. Like, what? Are they crazy? Are they crazy? What is happening in this town? Okay.
Get there, Friedrich had already died from the plague. Soon after, their bodies was set ablaze. The crew carry on with their expedition, while Ellen...
So what? Friedrich slept with his wife's dead body and then ended up also dying. Like, look at the stupidity of everything.
Summons Orlok to her chambers. They eventually found the coffin, which they thought Orlok to be in. Thomas walked toward it and opened the coffin. Just then, he stabbed the body, but unluckily for them...
Shouldn't they do it during the day? I thought vampires were stronger at night. Why are they doing it at night? Shouldn't they do it when he's sleeping during the day? Because then he doesn't have power, right? Because vampires hate the daylight, at least from the movies that I've watched. Can anyone confirm?
Orlok wasn't there, but Knock laying in his place. Immediately,
obviously
Thomas
he's not there because
realized
it's night. He's roaming about.
Just a diversion. So he ran back to save his wife, while von Franz began to say some prayers before
that means Orlok is in his home. Oh my goodness.
Back to Ellen. Orlok soon arrived to meet with Ellen, and upon his arrival, Ellen was right there waiting for him with her bridal wares. She accepted all the marital vows he recited, and once she was done, he made love to her.
Okay, this woman should go.
Willingly to his will,
yes,
by
go.
allowing him to feast on her,
yes,
while also
yes.
making gruesome love. So the next day,
go,
Orlok began to feel indifference within himself, and with time, to reverted to an inanimate corpse and died as Ellen held him as he screams in pains.
How did he die?
Later, Thomas arrived and met his wife staring weakly at him.
How did he die when she submitted to him? That's what he wanted all along. Why did he die then? Or did she do something?
So he holds her hand tightly while she dies, having brought an end to the plague and the evil Nosferatu.
Yes, sacrifice yourself. It's all your fault this happened anyway.
For more if you enjoy recap.
Okay. I will actually give this movie an 8 out of 10. Like, you can see that the acting is really legit. Like, even the settings, you can see it's quite a big budget movie. You can tell. Like, I would never, if I was an actress, I mean, kudos to, what's her name? Johnny Depp's daughter. I've forgotten her name. For acting this, because if somebody had presented this script to me, I am not opening myself up to this. No. Because I'm a big believer of things you accept into your life can manifest, you know. Guys, could you eat your snack? Because, what? People sleeping with dead bodies and demons. What kind of a movie is this? I hope that they went with some 40-day cleansing after they all acted this movie. Because this, and I wonder who wrote this movie. I'll go and do my research because, how did you come up with this? Why? Why did you come up with this in the first place? Okay, guys. We've come to the end of today's video, today's movie date. Since you enjoyed this movie date, please do like and don't forget to subscribe. Bye, guys.